Hello, Tashdale everybody. Welcome to the 19th session of our weekly virtual teachings by Venerable Geshe Lhakdor. And really, it's a great fortune that we are here yet again, gathered with the presence of Geshe La. And I hope we are all mentally and physically prepared to receive these precious teachings. Geshe La, with that, I would like to say we are all set. Please guide us, please help us. Thank you. Kishla, you have to unmute. Singla. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you, Norjinla, and thank you, everybody. I hope you're all physically and mentally well. We need to take good care of our physical health as well as mental health. Now doctors are saying that taking care of mental health is more important than taking care of physical health. So this teaching or discussion that we are having is to take good care of our mental health, not only for this life, but for many lives to come, not only for oneself, but for many other people. As I said earlier, the importance of spiritual knowledge, internal knowledge is something that it will never become access package, number one. Number two, no thieves and robbers can steal or rob it. Number three, you can share that knowledge as much as possible. The more you share, the more you become richer. So you see the contrast with the much, the physical wealth that is accumulated with much effort. However much you have accumulated over the years, it can be lost in a short time to fire, to thieves, to relatives, to friends, whatever, it can be lost. But mental health, the internal positive qualities like compassion. The other day I was reading a book where it clearly says that internal qualities like loving kindness and compassion, they are not like a or sabji, vegetable or something that you buy from the market, or even the clothes that you bought from the market. They after a few days they start becoming old. But the internal qualities, genuine qualities like loving kindness, compassion, they're always fresh. Imagine, always fresh. I think that's one reason His Holiness even physically looks fresh all the time, because of these internal qualities. And when you have that right perspective, right mental way of seeing things, nothing can bother you. Of course, it needs a lot of training. It's not easy. It's easier said than done. But the fact is, it is doable. If we make persistent effort, nothing can shake us. And once you understand the meaning of the whole life, the meaning of existence itself, the meaning of change, impermanence, suffering, and everything, then what you are going to experience is nothing but the law of nature. So nothing can disturb you, right? So therefore, this internal development of this internal qualities, especially the teachings of the Buddha, which is not just a knowledge that he shared based on reading many other books, but he has lived that life, and he's explaining that based on his own experience. So therefore, these are like priceless gems. So we should consider ourselves fortunate, lucky to at least spend some time, thinking or listening or discussing about these teachings. Because there are many other places where you can easily get distracted, which may be temporarily much more attractive and much more charming than just sitting here and discussing about these spiritual things. But in the long run, when in life, you're bound to encounter all kind of ups and downs, tragedies, you see. It's 100% sure. So when you are seized by those, unexpected upheavals, drastic changes, if you don't have that right perspective, if you don't have that stability of the mind, you will be completely lost. And then only thing left will be shouting and crying, which is not the solution. As somebody correctly said, if something unfortunate happens, then he says it is no use worrying it, because the only thing that the worry does is it will create you more problem. It doesn't solve anything. So all these negative ways of seeing things actually create much more problem than it's already there, right? So therefore, we need to realize that much of the problems that we are experiencing in the world is our own creation. His Holiness calls this kind of sufferings as unnecessary sufferings, because these are not through natural disaster, but our stupid human beings' creation. So we have a responsibility to lessen, at least, even if you don't have the capacity to stop many of these natural disasters, but we have this responsibility and the capacity to stop or lessen many of these unfortunate happenings that is happening everywhere, unfortunately. You just have to tune, you know, BBC or CNN or Ajita or whatever. It's just full of, you know, unnecessary things. And people are talking. This is the solution, that is the solution. He made the problem, she made the problem, and nobody is really trying to solve that problem. And the problem cannot be solved unless you have genuine compassion towards everybody, right? If you're a leader, especially if you're a leader, if the leader has that genuine motivation, genuine compassion, then he can solve any problem. And in fact, he will not create any extra problem, you see. For example, right now there are some leaders, I saw a very beautiful writing praising uh, Angela Merkel, German chancellor, during her many years of chancellorship. She did a wonderful job, and I can believe in that. Of course, many people write different things depending upon what they like or what they don't like. But I have some faith that what that writer, you know, is something true, because I had personally met her, I think, on one or two occasions. And before she was a German chancellor with His Holiness, she used to invite His Holiness on meetings, and very, very lovely person. So I have this first-hand experience. And then the New Zealand, Prime Minister, again a lady, doing wonderful job. So you can do wonderful things, right? So whether you are able to do that or not is not just your political power, but your genuine sense of concern and unbiased attitude towards everybody. But unfortunate thing that is happening everywhere is just blaming each other, you know, tossing the issue around, and then those who suffer are the poor people, you see, unfortunately. So this clearly shows that what kind of society or what kind of culture, what kind of civilization we are going to have if people are deprived of these internal qualities. Even if you think about this English word, civilization, civilized, somebody who is mentally tamed, calm and kind. Culture means somebody who is cultured, you see. So if you look at all these things, you'll find that that culture, that genuine civilization has to come through internal attitude and transformation. And that needs rigorous effort, just as Buddha and many other great teachers did, made effort, you see. So it's important to preserve these precious teachings within oneself, to gain a first-hand and precise knowledge of the depth and vastness of these teachings. It's important. We need to make some effort. The other day, few days back, somebody requested me to participate in a short meeting, which was about the copyright of publication and archival and things like that. So there also I said, yes, the modern way of archiving and then the copyright, these are wonderful. We should study, we should know. But the best way of archiving is archiving within one's brain. Get those knowledge, in-depth knowledge, that you become really a learned person. Like take the example of the Tibetan history. When Tibetans left Tibet, and the few, really, really learned great masters, who had archived everything in their mind. Imagine if those archiving has been done only in a modern system of archiving in a big storage and things like that. They just as the Chinese government has destroyed every treasure the Tibetans have, they should all have lost. But the Tibetans, the real scholars who had archived, experienced everything in their mind, they brought, when they were able to escape, they brought everything with them. And it is because of these great living teachers that Tibetans were able to again preserve this rich Buddhist and Tibetan cultural heritage. I must share this, that in the beginning when we were, we came into India as a refuge, then at that time, the gap between those very few learned persons who came from Tibet and the novices to whom you need to pass that lineage, pass that knowledge, there was a gap of 20, 30 years. So the worry, His Holiness mentioned this many times, the worry was, how can we, is it possible that we bridge the gap so that in those, in the mind of those novices, that we are able to inculcate all those wisdoms, knowledges, lineages, transmissions, so that they also become equally, or at least quite good masters. So luckily we were able to do that. That is a big success story in the Tibetan exile. So right now, at least we have not necessarily as good as the old ones, maybe, I don't know, maybe one or two, but maybe difficult, but there are many who are very, very good scholars, right? So there's the thing. So this kind of real knowledge, we really need to persistent effort and understand, and then develop conviction. Develop conviction. One, you need to study, right? I long time back, I met one teacher, Gen Lamrimpa, who passed away long time back. I was then a student in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics. So at that time already I spoke some broken English. So he invited me to the Tushita Meditation Center. That was a long time back. I was a student in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics. So they invited me to translate Geshe-la's teaching. So during, in between the teachings, then Gen Lamrimpa was a meditator. He meditated in the mountain for many, many years. So he would ask me, let us go for a short stroll into the jungle, forest, because Tushita is up in the forest. So we would go there, and then while talking, I remember this very clearly. He told me that now you are studying in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics. You already have a very good Dharma knowledge. So what you need is to summarize it. Because when you study, you read so many books, you see so many texts. So what is the summary that you can carry forth? The essential points, right? For example, text is like Lamrim Chemu are really like summary for people who are unable to join a big monastic university and do all those complicated, complex philosophical debates. For those people, Tsongkhapa wrote this Lamrim. So something like that. He used to say things like that. So therefore, it's very true that we should, very important, number one, to study in depth as much as possible. Then also to catch the essence. It's also very important. Sometimes we just keep on learning, keep on learning, keep on. There's no end to learning. There's no end to study. So what are you going to get it? When are you going to get it? So sometimes even if you just, as I said before, if you don't get anything, something that is practical, something that you can implement in your life, then you are like a person who is drowning in the ocean and dying of thirst, which is really like quite paradoxical, or what, but it happens, you see. So we'll become like that. And the more and more I read and study, the more I see that danger, you see. Right? So repeatedly, I mentioned earlier also, if you just know one thing, compassion, know it properly and practice it, there will be huge, leap forward, huge progress forward. So I was reading one, somebody put it on the internet, one beautiful summary made by Geshe Potowa, who wrote this beautiful text on Lamrim. I'm really dying to get it translated. Hopefully one day I will be able to translate it. It's a whole Lamrim but the whole Lamrim explained with examples, including the example from the birds and things like that, So I was really thinking, oh, this could, you translate it, and also if you get somebody who is really, really a good painter. I once heard that in somewhere during the past, ancient time in Tibet, somebody did a Lamrim with illustrations. And somebody told me he saw it, but I unfortunately never saw it. So something like that probably possible, you see. Anyway, so I'm getting a little bit digressed. So what I'm saying is like how he beautifully summarizes it. It was so powerful. So I want to share this from Geshe Potova, who wrote this Lamrim with examples, So he says, you should think repeatedly on impermanence and death. And from that repeated meditation and contemplation on impermanence and death, if you are able to develop the certainty, conviction about the certainty of the death, then there will be no difficulty in stopping the negative deeds. There will be no difficulty to stop all the evil deeds. I mean, it's so powerful. By repeatedly thinking on impermanence, if you develop this genuine conviction about the certainty of your death, then there will be no difficulty in stopping all the stupid negative deeds. Clearly showing that our understanding of impermanence is very, very, very shallow, superficial. We talk about impermanence, but develop strong grasping on permanence, right? Number one. So if you want to stop, very often we ask this question, I want to stop all these negative deeds. How can I stop? It's so difficult. He says, not difficult. It's not difficult at all. If you are somebody who has developed this conviction on the certainty of death, there will be no difficulty in stopping all these negative deeds. And there will be no difficulty in accumulating the virtuous practices, developing qualities like compassion and love. It will automatically come. Then he says, on top of that, you should repeatedly meditate on loving kindness and compassion. And if you are able to develop that loving kindness and compassion within yourself, there will be no difficulty in helping others. So beautiful. Again, clearly showing we have this difficulty helping others because we don't have genuine love. We don't have genuine compassion. Then he says, on top of that, the third thing, on top of that, if you meditate repeatedly on emptiness of all phenomena, the empty nature of all phenomena, and through that way, if you are able to develop that kind of understanding within your mind, then there will be no difficulty in doing away with all erroneous thought, all mistaken thoughts. Then you will not make mistakes. In kind of 3 sentences, he beautifully summarizes how to get rid of negative emotions, how to accumulate positive emotions, how to help other sentient beings, and how to remove all your mistaken thoughts. So beautifully put it, right? So anyway, we need to do all this basically to help all other suffering sentient beings, right? And that is because just as you want happiness, others want happiness. Just as you do not want suffering, others don't want suffering. And it's not that you are not connected to them. You are very, very closely connected to other sentient beings. Your happiness and suffering is very much connected to others' behavior, others' thinking, and so forth. So therefore, it is nothing but natural to try to help others. You will recall what I said earlier, that the quotation from Nagarjuna, who said, if you really want to get established in this life, then you must strive to benefit others. And he says, if you don't strive, don't make effort to help others, whatever projects you come up with, whatever work you do in your life, you will never get settled in your, such a beautiful teaching, We are all running, not settled, nobody's settled. Running hither and thither, everybody's running. But what is our goal? One of other Kadamba master, he says, we are not getting anything because we honestly speaking, we don't have a, clear goal in sight. We do something with small kind of so-called goals, but there's no clear goal, no clear target of your life. So therefore, you do small things and get sidetracked and distracted here and there, and this is how you pass your life, right? So these are beautiful teachings. Anyway, so this is a kind of few points at the beginning. So today's chapter, chapter 18, is in fact on how to guard or protect or respect others' mind. I mean, the title itself is so beautiful. Respecting or guarding and protecting others' mind. The way you physically behave, the languages that you use, all kind of behaviors that you adopt. In all this, you should be very careful whether your physical, verbal, mental activities are harming others or helping others. That is dharma. It's all there. And I recall reading somewhere in some other Mahayana text where it says, protecting yourself or in other words, not doing those things which will hurt others is helping others in the lives. Whatever you are doing, don't just do it because you want to do it pleasurable or whatever, but also keep in consideration of other people. If I speak like this, it will hurt others or not. If I behave like this, it will hurt others or not. Today's society, especially in Hindi, we say "साले को गोली मारो, जो करना है करो, हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है, साले को गोली मारो." Just forget it. Just enjoy. Just live your life. Why you are so concerned about others? That has become a phrase that is repeatedly used, right? To lead your honest, truthful life, yes, you should not show too much concern about what others think, but that doesn't mean that you should lead a destructive, negative life and, like, for example, stealing and robbing and still thinking, oh, I don't care what others think, right? And then at the end of the day, you will be the beneficiary. You will be the one who get the benefit. It's not only not disturbing others, it's not only helping others, but you will be the one who will get the benefit. Okay, so I will read a little bit about the discussion they had. And first I will read this English translation. This English translation is also my on-the-spot translation. I'm not good in English, so one day hopefully we can smoothen it or write in the what they say spotless English. One day maybe we can do that. But at least you will get a sense from here. So there are three verses where it says, if you see others, because the question is asked, when you see others, of course we see others all the time. So what should you do? What should be your attitude, your behavior? If you see others, then you should, with calm and straightforwardness, speak honestly when you see others. Give up grimace and scold. That means, don't give an angry look or awkward look, where you have these wrinkles on your face, expressing unpleasantness. And forever live with a smile. See, he did not say that you live with a smile for a few days. He did not say that. He is saying forever live with a smile. You see that smile on His Holiness the Dalai Lama's face all the time. Right? And Tibetans are generally said, Tibetans are very jolly fellow. So that probably has something to do with the culture and things like that. But it's important, because smile is also kind of contagious, If you smile, other people will start also smiling. That's how you make the day, right? If everybody, expresses themselves in a kind of angry mood, and then everybody will feel unpleasantness. Normally, when you see others, be not stringent, but delight in giving. And discard all jealousy. So in this chapter, he talks much about the importance of giving, importance of human relationship, and importance of not to develop any kind of jealousy. So in the actual discussion, I'll read and you will get the meaning of these lines. To respect or guard others' mind, discard all disputations. For me, this is particularly powerful. Very often, it's a human nature. We are so fond of talking, right? And I've always been telling people that we have only one mouth and two ears, which means listen more and speak less, right? But we end up speaking much more, and hardly we listen. Hardly we listen. There's a problem with me also. I'm sure many of you have this problem. Because we have this tendency and thinking that I am the one who knows everything. So let me explain, you see. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama very convincingly says, if you listen to others, you will learn many things which you don't know. But if you keep on talking, you'll be repeating only what you know. You don't learn anything new, right? So to respect others' mind, discard all disputations. Now, not only we keep on speaking, but most of the time we speak to defend our wrong thinking, wrong thesis, whatever, and try to prove that you are the one who is right and the other is the one who is wrong. So disputations, argument, not debate that is done in the monasteries to clarify an important point. We are not talking about that. That kind of debate is important. But ordinarily, we engage in all these disputations, arguments, to prove that I'm right, you are wrong. And sometimes we meet people during discussion, they may be absolutely wrong, but still they are adamant, they want to prevail. So why should you argue with these people? On a very little level, I've tried to do that. It is so useful. So if they are continuously like almost getting heated and they try to depend and say, oh, okay. Oh, lasso. Say lasso, tukjishe, good. Oh, injury, maybe. Don't say true, but which is not true. Maybe. Lasso, I see. Finish. So sometimes unnecessarily, you just sit over a cup of tea and then started arguing. Then sometimes just heated exchange. Sometimes even they physically fight, you see. They are so stupid, right? So that's why in the 8 verses, Langri Thangpa says, that means if it is a victory or profit or something like that, offer it to others. You suffered the defeat. Actually, it's not defeat. But from ordinary parlance, it looks like you're accepting their defeat. So what? So these days, I'm jokingly telling people, okay, I'm not going to share this one. Very, very stupid. Anyway, I'm telling people that if people are saying bad things about you, let them say, Geshe Lhakdor is stupid, he knows nothing. One point that I made very clear recently, the group from Ladakh, the Flowering Dharma, they requested me to lead one month course, certificate course, and teach in Hindi. Then I said, my Hindi is not good. Then they requested that, oh, Geshe-la, your Hindi is okay. We know that there are not many people who teach in Hindi, many who teach in English. So please. Then I said, okay. Now it's definite that people who have really good Hindi, when they listen to me, they'll make fun of me, ridicule me. But that's fine. If it is going to benefit the students, the listeners a little bit, for me, that is good enough. right? Right. So there's no need to show too much concern about, you know, unnecessary kind of disputations or arguments. And forever be equipped with patience. I mean, forever be equipped with patience. As soon as I read this line, it really looks like going to a battlefield. When you go to a battlefield, forever you should be equipped with that armor, you know. It's not sure when the enemy is going to hurl their, you know, spear or arrow. So always 24 hours be ready to defend yourself with that, you know, with the armor to protect yourself. So patience, and forever be equipped with the patience. If you have that patience of able to tolerate hardships in your dharma practice or in helping others, if you have that patience, nothing can harm you. So this is a beautiful, beautiful text. So let us read a little bit from the text itself, how the discussion unfolds. So Domdamba asks Choje, when I see others, how should I react? What should I do? Then he says, when you see others, remain calm, peaceful, you know, and then be honest and speak honestly. Use straightforward language. No word of deception, no word of cunningness, you know, no flattery, no hypocrisy, you know. These are so important. Ordinarily, in order to please somebody, we might say so many things, you know, without much thinking. Oh, you're so good, you're so wonderful, you're so cute, you know. You look like a god, you know, came from heaven or things like you. So no need to praise too much, no need to, you know, use harsh speech. Just remain calm, number one, calm, and then your expression should show that this person is reliable, this person is welcoming me. Your eyes, the way you know, look at that person with your eyes, the facial expressions, all this shows what kind of person you are. And that itself will bring that, you know, confidence and tranquility in the mind of that person. So that's why he is saying that be calm and, you know, use straightforward, honest language. And then Dhamma again asks, if somebody harms you, what should we do? Then he answers by saying that if somebody harms you, then in response, don't become angry, don't become mad, don't try to stop that harm through madness and anger. And then again, Dhamma asks the question by saying, even if I've done nothing to others, if that other person is harming you, even when you've done nothing, yes, there are many people who harm you, even if you have done nothing, whatever be the reason, maybe past lives, karma, or whatever. Okay, so what should we do? Then Atisha says, then at that time, maintain a non-conceptual state of mind and just keep on smiling. Just keep on smiling. And then Dhamma says, oh, that is quite difficult. You've done nothing and still somebody is harming you, and then still you sit there with none, you know, conceptuality and keep on smiling. That's quite difficult. Then this is answered by Dhamma by saying, this is difficult, therefore you collect merit. I mean, look at this point. When you do something difficult, there's the way to collect merit. We talk so much about collecting merit and wisdom, right? So when you do difficult things, then you collect merit. So here I would like to read a little bit about from this book by Geshe Potova about collecting merit. Here, Potova in this Lamrim with the examples, he says that we should all collect merit, which is the cause for our future success, future happiness. And he gives example by saying that look at the farmers. The farmers, They cultivated the land and plowed the field and worked very hard the last year. So therefore, this year they are able to enjoy the life with good crops and things like that. So for the next year's success and happiness and abundant, crops, they have to again sow the seed and cultivate the land and so forth this year. So collecting merit is like this. If you collect the merit and sow that seed of merit now, then for many lives you'll be able to gather the fruit, which is like the crop. So in order to do that, physically you need to do prostration, circumambulation, and then also attending or helping in those spiritual activities of the lama or monks or anybody. That's collecting merit physically. Then verbally, reciting, for example, Heart Sutra or any other prayer. Mentally, recollecting Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, remembering Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And in fact, those of you who are not familiar, then there is a sutra, Kunjo Jidi, recollecting the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There is a short sutra, which is also available in English, which I think I have distributed during some of the teachings at the foundation or elsewhere. So if you want one, I have that also. I'll send the copy. So read that. Those of you who can read in English or Tibetan, whatever, read that. And then understand the meaning later on. And then, of course, meditation on bodhicitta and so forth. Then in terms of your enjoyment, in terms of your wealth, money and other things that you collect, you accumulate, make sure that they are collected without using wrong livelihood, not mixed with negative deeds. Because you can collect your wealth and fame and name through corruption, through exploitation, through bribery, through hypocrisy, through flattery, chamchagiri. Chamchagiri karke bahut sara, many people get job through chamchagiri. Chamchagiri, you know chamchagiri? Of course, our Indian friends and Tibetans also know, but for for other, language, speakers in India, we use this word chamchagiri, which is almost like boot liquor, or who get their job and things through flattery. So these are not good. These are not good. Okay, so make sure that you earn your livelihood without mixing it with negative deeds. So if you do that, that is the way to collect merit for your future lives. Then he says, then he gives another example, which is like a businessman who goes to do some business, important business of, selling golds and silvers and things like that. But on his journey, on his way, of course, he has the most important, merchandise, the gold and silver and other, pricey things. But he will also bring with it some other small tidbits to sell while on the road, so that he will make some money and buy some food and survive while on the journey. So like that, in order to reach the state of Buddhahood, right, you need to practice all the 6 perfections. And in order to achieve success in the practice of the 6 perfections and so forth, you need to also do other practices like taking refuge and practicing the 7 limb prayers, offering foods to spirits, so forth. So what is he basically saying is, when you do this practice, you need to do an all-rounded practice. Elsewhere, he gave this example, which I now remembering. He says it is like cooking. If you want to cook a delicious food, you need many ingredients, different kind of utensils and spoons and scoops and then for the real food, and then the masala and whatever, so many things you need. So like that, okay. But this all can be summarized into 3 main practices for collecting merit. One is the merit that you get through the practice of giving. giving, practice of generosity is very, very important. Out of the six perfections, the first perfection is perfection of giving, which is really very, very important in the sense, I'm not saying this is the most important, but what I'm saying is it's important, number one, to start with. Because for all of us, whether monks or nuns or layperson or whoever, we get stuck with material things, material possessions. As I repeatedly mentioned earlier, the endless running that we are doing today is after material possessions, right? So therefore, if you lessen your attachment to material possessions and able to give something, that is really like doing away a little bit of your self-grasping also, right? Which something, that's why it's especially kind of recommended to lay people. So giving is one very important practice for collecting merit. Then the second is practice of morality. Again, whether you are an ordained person or a lay person, as I mentioned earlier, morality is really the basis for growing all other virtuous qualities. Morality, as I mentioned earlier, is not observing a discipline that is imposed upon you by some external force. But morality means collecting virtuous qualities, removing negative deeds, and benefiting other sentient beings. If you do these three things, of course, you will collect merit, right? And then the merit that you collect through meditation. So all these different practices can also be summarized into these three practices: practice of giving, practice of morality, and practice of meditation, right? Now, out of these three also, to start with, the merit that you get through practice of giving is very important, he says. Because if you don't do that, then as a result, you will be born as somebody who is without material facilities. If you are somebody who do not have these material facilities, then even if you want to do some very good thing, good practice, because of shortage of facilities, you will not be able to do that, right? So therefore, that practice of giving becomes a foundation of Buddhist practice, so that you are not deprived of material facilities for your practice. Because if you don't have that merit that comes from giving, then it is not possible to collect that merit which comes from morality. And if you don't have that merit which comes from morality, you will not have that merit which comes from meditation. And without that, of course, you can't achieve enlightenment or Buddhahood, right? And the material possessions that we have, whatever amount you have that you are enjoying, is said to be the result of your having practiced giving in the past lives or even in this life. It's a paradox, you see. Normally we think that the more we become stringent, the more we hoard, the more we'll become, rich and wealthy. It doesn't work like that. The more you genuinely, practice charity and help others, the more you will flourish. It's paradox. You won't believe. I've mentioned this earlier. The scientists have done an experiment with this to see who is happier, the giver and the receiver. And scientifically, they found the giver is much more happier than the receiver. Imagine. Ordinarily, we will think the other way around. The receiver got something, he should be really happy. The giver lost something, he should be a little bit sad, no? But when the giver genuinely, with happiness, seeing the aims and objectives, the benefits, and gives something, he actually gets genuine mental satisfaction. And that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. And then you will also recall, Arpita, the teaching of the six perfections. There is a teaching on the four ways of gathering or attracting followers. So there also the first practice is giving material gifts. It's not to lure somebody or cheat somebody, there's agenda behind it, not because of that, but simply just to help others. Now, when you really want to help others, the really, best way of helping others, especially for ordinary people, is practicing, not just talking. When you are really, when you really help somebody by giving something, money or a cloth or a books or whatever. In my case, at least I'm not saying I'm a great practitioner, but there's no harm mentioning what you're doing. I try my best to practice of giving torch, pen, pencil, books. I've actually given a lot of books to many other people. So like that, you see, which you can do. And then through that way, people will really their mind will become closer to you. Then you can teach, show the path. So therefore, the four ways of gathering is, number one, give those things which other people need, not just talk. Give those things which other people need. Second, speaks pleasantly, which means not singing a song, but teaching, because teaching is the most pleasant thing. And the third is asking those people to observe certain behavior. Now you should do this, you should not do this. Teach them. And the fourth, which is very important, is you should also live according to what you have taught. Otherwise, they'll say, "Oh, Geshe Lhakdor said this, but look at him, what he is doing." Geshe Lhakdor said, "Don't eat meat. Look, he is now this Dosu Javshings." Right? So, right? So therefore, you should yourself practice what you teach, which is not easy. So we need to be very careful. Okay. So therefore, having material facilities is important, not out of greed, but to facilitate your practice, facilitate in helping others, right? And especially, these days, it's an actual reality that if you're really rich and have a lot of wealth, you can actually build, good schools and, universities and monasteries and temples, and you can attract many people. So, a person like me, I can't attract many people. I don't have this dollar to distribute, which is not the important thing, but most important thing. But unfortunately, the more there is a facility, people will come, right? Okay. Now, in the case of the collecting the merit through practice of giving also, it should be done with four purities, four purifications. That means the object, the field towards whom you practice giving should be pure. For example, the field is Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There are greater possibilities of collecting greater merit. So the field should be pure, right? So I'm not going into detail if we don't have time. And then, so the field is like whoever has much higher spiritual realization and quality, whatever offering or giving that you give to that person, depending upon his or her spiritual level, there will be greater collection of merit. Okay. Then second, purity of that material object that you are going to offer, right? Just like planting a seed, the seed that you're going to plant, if that seed is not rotten, not burnt, and perfect, and then the fruit will also be perfect. So similarly, the material offerings that you give, if it is not alloyed with negative deeds, if what you have earned is in accordance with the spiritual teaching, therefore pure, then the collection of merit is greater. Third, pure motivation. Pure motivation means basically the motivation to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And the fourth is pure dedication, having offered that gift to ensure that the merit collected by that practice of giving is not consumed quickly, that you need to dedicate it to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So there are so many beautiful teachings like that. Okay. So I was reading this with reference to this answer by Choje, who said the more the practice is difficult, the more you collect merit. And then again, Domtaba asks us how is it possible that one can collect greater merit by doing those difficult things? Then he says, because you know what to practice. Because you know what to practice. You know that this practice is so important. So you are not bothered by the fact that it's a difficult practice, as Shantideva says in his Bodhisattva Avtara, but when you reach higher spiritual level, then even giving away your limbs is not is like giving or putting away some vegetable, pieces of vegetable, because you don't have grasping to your head or hand or legs like that. You have no difficulty. You will in fact enjoy it. But of course, at the beginning we can't do it. But whatever effort you make, the greater effort you make, the greater hardship that you encounter, the greater collection of merit. Then with respect to speaking to others, he says that you should, when you speak to others, you should not be too loud or too weak. It should be like medium. And more importantly, it should be honest words. And then again, Rumtaba asked a question by saying that, how can we bring about a change by this kind of regular practices? Atisha answers this by saying, yes, if you regularly practice this, you will bring about changes, just like iron, which is so hard, but if you try to melt it, then gradually even irons, they start melting. And then to support his teachings, he cites many quotations from his teachers. First, he cites a quotation from Lama Selingba, who says that you should always be peaceful and tamed and well-versed in speech, and you should be somebody who is able to take the responsibility of others. And if you practice this, then no evil forces can tremble upon you. And if you have such practices and such, beautiful languages, then it doesn't matter whether your face is beautiful or not beautiful. Because when you have these internal qualities, then everybody becomes handsome or beautiful. I mean, imagine a smile on everybody's face. And I remember his holiness teaching, saying that when you smile, it's really good, even if you have yellow broken teeth. Yellow means not well brushed and then broken teeth. Still, it looks beautiful, right? So it's not like how much makeup you make, but it's how you present yourself, right? And this is something we can see. There are some people who are so calm, so nice. Okay. Then he cites quotation from his other teacher, Avadutipa. He says you should always have this mind to wish to benefit others, and peaceful and tamed, so forth. And you should express yourselves in such a way that whoever sees you will get that happiness. Then his teacher Zitare also says, uh, if you become basically a good human being, there's nothing better than that. You become, first of all, a reliable, good, well-established human being, right? And your mind should be intelligent, and you should become somebody who everybody can trust, uh, and always carry that smile on your face. Similarly, his other teacher, Rakshita, also says, even if the Lord of Death is there to kill you, still you should speak honestly. So Nagarjuna's Ratnavali clearly mentions that you should not commit negative deeds either out of attachment or anger or hatred, of course, or out of ignorance, right? These are not easy. When like for example, if your enemy threatens to kill you, you might give up your practice. Or if you're attached to something, you might give up your practice, right? Things like that. Okay. Then he cites quotation from Shantipa, then from his teacher Dombipa, wherein Dombipa says that your speech should be such that it is like hearing somebody playing a flute. You see, we all like to listen to songs, right? Why? Nothing particularly do with any dogmatic religious practice, but it is the law of nature. The law of nature has a kind of rhythm, harmonic, So when the things are in harmony, we all get very happy, right? The same musical instrument can be played by a good, guitarist or somebody who really plays it very well. Listen to that, we feel very happy. And give it to a monkey who doesn't know how to play it, and he will just do like this. He will get disturbed, you see. So therefore, from this also, it shows clearly how important harmony is. Harmony with the environment, harmony among human beings, harmony among family members, harmony among religious practitioners, harmony between your body and mind. So important. It's only through harmony that things flourish, things grow. If there's disharmony, whether it's in the nature or in the human, society, everything will start crumbling. So harmony is, of course, very, very important. This is a very important point. And then his other teacher, Rikpe Kujuk Abaduti, he says that sounds are, at the end of the day, is really like an echo. So why should you develop too much grasping? Give up all disputation. You remember? There's no need to argue because these are, at the end of the day, it's all like echo. So it is best to relax that grasping and seeing them as having independent existence and so forth. So I'm not going to try to read everything. Then similarly, Naropa, great Naropa, he also says that even if the whole cosmology is disturbed, but you should be soft, peaceful, and always have this wish to benefit others. Even if your parents are going to kill you, never use harsh speech. Even those enemies who are trying to destroy your teaching, Dharma teaching, just as the Chinese communists have done, still you should not develop that hatred, ill will. And you should try to change them through the practice of great compassion. Even if your body is destroyed completely, but the teaching of the Buddha cannot be destroyed like that. The teaching of the Buddha is not in a monastery or in a temple. It is in the mind of the people, so long as people practice it, even if they destroy the temples and everything, They cannot destroy it. So therefore, again, archiving in the mind, as I said, is so, so important. So in short, they are all saying that the behavior of a sublime person, sublime being, is purpose of others, benefiting others. If you call yourself a bodhisattva or a sublime being, then you should benefit others. All your activities must directly, indirectly benefit others. That's the main goal. That's the sole purpose. I recall one beautiful teaching from Sutra Alamkara by Maitreya, where he says, "Gola simjin kurjin kurvayi simbachone thaljin rominzi." That means the bodhisattvas who carry the burden of sentient beings on their head, it doesn't look beautiful to those bodhisattvas to walk slowly, meaning that they should always be active in helping others because they have to carry this big responsibility, big burden of sentient beings, right? So if you are somebody who has developed this genuine compassion, that will itself will become like an engine that will, put you the energy to just go and help others. Okay. And then here at this point, Atisha says that, see, all these teachings are given to me by my teacher, although they have many students, but they have given these teachings to me alone, meaning that he is a very special, he has received a very special teaching, that he is a special student. And he says, they have given this special teaching to me because they have recognized me as a sublime person. Now here he's not bragging, it's important if to tell the truth, to encourage others. And then he says, I'm also giving this teaching to you, Domtomba, because you are also a sublime being. I know this. Then Domtomba says, I fully rejoice. But he asked another question. When you continuously or normally when you see other people, what should you do? And this is when you normally see other people, you should see all of them as very kind to you. As we say, as we regard, in the Buddhist teaching, we say, regard all sentient beings as your mother. Therefore, they're all kind to you. So remember their kindness all the time. How can we do that? Ordinary will think, why should I remember his or her kindness? I'm seeing him or her for the first time. He did not give me any lunch or dinner or anything. So why should I? This is how we think. But if you think about many lives, or even this life, the connection that we have directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly, they are very kind to you. So therefore, always recall their kindness. Even if you're able to practice a little bit of patience because of ill treatment by others, superficially they are ill treating you, harming you, but because of that harm, you're able to practice patience. Therefore, they are kind. So whether they help you or harm you, they are kind. So in that way, right? Then again, Domdamba asks the question by saying, okay, if that is the case, then how should I repay their kindness? Then he says, one of the best ways to repay their kindness is you give everything without having any attachment. Then again, a question is asked by saying, what is the definition of having no attachment? Choji answers this by saying having no attachment means having no stinginess, miserliness, having no miserliness. And then he says, can you just give me one example of the process of giving? And this is answered by saying that according to what I've received from my teachers, if you are somebody who have, then you should give all your kingdom And when the others get it, you must rejoice. So whatever you have, you should give that. Your land, your houses, your wealth, everything. Food, clothing, medicine, without attachment. Similarly, horses, things like that. Nowadays, aeroplanes, motorbikes, cars, and things like that. And your servants, and then your head, your limbs, everything. So in short, it's just, although we have obtained this very impure human life, but this can be, through practice, this can be transformed into the body of the Buddha, which has all the major and minor signs. And that is the way to achieve that state of enlightenment. And in the case of Buddha himself, in many of his previous lives, he had given up his body, like offering his body to the hungry, the mother tiger, and uh, the babies. These are all explained in the sutra. Similar advice is given by Saraha, where he says, even if you have to split your body into 100,000 parts without strangeness, offer it to others, without any grasping, without any attachment. So this very body that you have obtained today is through the practice of Dharma, and therefore regard the Dharma teaching itself as something very special and kind to you. So today is your opportunity to repay their kindness. So therefore, give up your body for the sake of preserving the teaching. Now, don't misunderstand this. Some people become fundamentalists and fanatics, saying that they are preserving their teaching. Not that way. Not destroying and killing others, but through hearing, contemplation, and meditation, imbibing all these positive qualities, and that way benefiting others. And that is preservation of the Buddha's teaching, not just building monasteries and temples, right? Having listened to all this, Dumtamba highly expresses his joy, having heard this precious meaning of precious scriptures from the Lama. And he says that this life is like a cloud in the sky. It will come together quickly and get separated very quickly. So therefore, I will keep in my mind how to relate to others with honesty, straightforwardness, softness, clarity, and whatever is beneficial to them, and without being angry. And I'll invite all of them with a smile and so forth. So he's basically promising that I will practice what you've already taught. And then Atisha again advises him, saying that this is wonderful, but you should do this practice for many lives to come. And that's the best thing that you can have. So this is a part that deals with how to react when you see others. And then particularly Atisha says that today we are living in the time of degeneration, where everybody, the higher ones, the middle ones, the lower ones, everybody has their problems and difficulties, right? So therefore, Therefore, Ramtama asks us, Atisha, so because of such time of degeneration, when we have all these problems in the higher circle, middle circle, and the lower circle, and when we all have this impure, ways of life, and all the Buddhas have passed, great teachers also passed, and even arhats have passed. So therefore, if you don't make the teaching very clear, Tibet will be, because these teachings are given in Tibet, Tibet will be very soon lost completely. So now I have this difficulty of how to deal with these three levels of people, the higher ups, middle ones, and the lower ones, which is true in our case also. So how can I, deal with these people? So this is answer. Now this very interesting answer. Atisha answers this by saying that you have difficulty dealing with all these people because of jealousy. Because to the higher ones, you are not able to compete them. Therefore, you defame them. You say bad things against them. The president is not good. The prime minister is not good. This and that. Right? Because you are unable to challenge them. And you destroy those that are lower than you because you don't have compassion, as I said right in the beginning. And you are also not in good terms with those people who are of your equal level because you don't have that sense of shame and sense of concern for others. Shame and sense of concern. These are two very important qualities in our day-to-day practice. Nagarjuna, I think in his precious garland, he says that the world is protected, the world is sustained by two practice, sense of shame and sense of concern for others. So if this sense of shame and sense of concern for others is not there, the world will crumble. You do all the bad things, have no sense of shame. You do all the bad things, have no concern for others, then the world is done. So they must be there in order to sustain the world. Right? So therefore, you must give up jealousy. And in my own level, I have given you this example earlier. Maybe good example, but maybe not. But I want to share this example to you also. The example is like, for example, oh, sorry, I'm overstaying a little bit. Anyway, I'll stop now very soon. The example that I have given earlier is like, for example, today this discussion, let us say we are in one class and we are all talking about Dharma, and a stranger comes and then asks us the question, what are you guys doing? Then if we say we are studying Dharma, then he says, oh, this is so wonderful, you are studying Dharma. And then he starts giving like $1,000 to each of the people there, except me, the teacher. $1,000 to each, except me, Geshe Lhakdor, the teacher. You see? Then what will be my feeling? My feeling will be a little bit of uneasiness. Why that he gave this money to everybody, not me? See, that's called jealousy. Although I don't know this person, number one, and secondly, also whether he comes and gives no money to everybody, or he gives to the rest of the people, not to me, it's same. But when he doesn't give this money to everybody, including me, then it's okay with me. But he gives this money to the class students and not to the teacher, Geshe Lhakdor, then Geshe Lhakdor gets upset, you see. That's the indication of jealousy. So we all have this kind of jealousy. So jealousy comes because of your attachment to name and fame and possessions. Right? When you have this strong attachment to name and fame and possessions, then whoever you see that name, that possession, that fame, you get jealousy. It's a very negative, very bad negative emotion, because just by feeling jealousy, you will not get anything from those people, you see. So you will be just burning yourself out of jealousy. So therefore, jealousy is something that we must give up. Okay? And jealousy acts as a foundation for arisal of many negative emotions like attachment, hatred, and so forth. Since we have found this very precious human life, our task is to destroy all kinds of negative emotions, including jealousy, stinginess, and so forth. So don't lead a way of life which is really like madness. The life where many types of lives people live are really madness, totally madness. So give up that madness, give up that insanity, right? So therefore it's important to show the respect to other people, protect their mind, make sure that their mind is not disturbed, not hurt. So to do that, as we read right in the beginning, give up all these unnecessary arguments and disputations, right? You accept the defeat and you say, okay, you may be right, okay, don't argue anymore. And still, if that person is treating you as an enemy, then what should we do? Then you should pray for that person, right? He's still angry. I accepted the defeat. I gave him the victory. Still he is unhappy. So I pray that gradually his mind changes. He's behaving like this because he is pushed by the negative actions of the past. His intention and mind is not pure, which leads to impure activities and therefore harming my body. Right? So therefore you should pray and don't get angry. If you do that, then you are a sublime being. So that's it. So I more or less covered the text. It's not very long. Thank you.
Yeah, so Gishla, thank you so much.
Mm,
Now we have some questions lined up. And
mm,
before I call upon Natasha and Dinara and all, I have this question from Amita Joseph, who's written in the chat, Gishla, a question. I'll read it out to you.
mm.
So Amita is asking, when somebody gives, in terms of practice of giving, if somebody gives without consideration or uh, insensitively, will it lower the dignity of the receiver? So that's her doubt. And she's also asking if this will foster a sense of dependency
Yes,
on the receiver.
that you have to see very carefully. Therefore, in the text it says, when you practice giving, you should know what you are giving, to whom you are giving, at what time you are giving. All these things you need to see. For example, because we have heard that giving is important, thereby if you start practicing, giving poison, giving arms and ammunitions, weapons to kill each other, that's not considered as giving. We're not talking about that kind of giving. Giving means something by whose giving the person is able to have that peace, happiness, and harmlessness, right? Then also, yes, if it is a situation where your practice of giving is not going to help that other person much, but he is going to get spoiled and will continuously become dependent, then you need to be again uh, adopt some other ways of giving, because the purpose of giving is not to make that person completely dependent upon you, but to help that person stand on their own foot, able to look after themselves. That is the basic idea of the Buddhist teaching, right? And then so on, therefore it depends on the situation. So many a times you should give that gift in such a way that that person even don't know from where that gift is coming, right? Normally for us it's difficult because we need that acknowledgement, you see. I did that practice a little bit. So sometimes, if to whom you are giving something, if that person is really very, very friendly and very close friend, then it's okay. Like giving to your sister and brothers or somebody very close, then it's okay. But if it is not that close, then if you give something and because of that gift, that person has to accept a little bit of uh, gratitude, whenever you meet, and you have to bow down because he gave me this, that kind of humbling kind of effect is there, then probably it's not a good idea, right? So many times you just give that gift through someone else, right? So it depends on the situation. Depends on the situation. Yeah. Okay.
Leso Gishla, thank you.
Mm.
Natasha, you can ask your questions. I'll send you the request to unmute.
Gishela,
Mm.
thank you very much. Today, I have only two questions
Mm.
from the Russian audience on YouTube.
Mm.
The first one is, if our self is
Mm.
impermanent,
Mm.
constantly changing from one moment to another, does it mean that our next birth is unpredictable?
Next, this is like asking, yeah, it's unpredictable because can you predict what is to come tomorrow? Forget about next life. Can you predict what will come tomorrow? We will say, yes, I can predict. That's presumption, We can't really predict. If I ask you, not just what will come tomorrow, but if I ask you, are you 100% sure that you will not die tomorrow? We'll all say, yes, yes, yes. Put your signature. We'll all put our signature, but deep down in the mind, we are not so sure. So it's unpredictable in that sense. But in unpredictable does not mean that the continuity will not be there. Whether you live or whether you die, the continuity will be there. Your mind will be there. So therefore, unpredictability does not mean that all your good deeds will be lost and all your bad deeds will be lost. There will be no good result, no bad result. Not like that, right? Because whatever habit you pick up, whatever you do, it will live. It is habit or imprint on the mind, and then in the continuum, whatever positive, negative deeds that you've done in the past will give their fruits. So that is definite.
Thank you, Geshe-la. And the next question is, how to strengthen bodhicitta if our self is so impermanent and our abilities are so small?
So that's why I said impermanence does not mean death and destruction. Impermanence means change. Change means change for the good also. Change for the bad also, but change for the good also. So there is this possibility to change for the better, for the good. So therefore, if you practice cultivation of bodhicitta and so forth, you get habituated with it. You become better and better. I don't have to elaborate on this. Imagine, for example, in the case of the questioner, who I really don't know, but I'm definite that he has studied many years in a school. So in the beginning, you know nothing. But then over years, you picked up so many things. You learned so many things. You improved. You become a more educated person. That is possible because of this change, because of this impermanence. Because if there's no change, if it is fixed, then you can't do anything. So thank God things are impermanent. Thank God things are changing. That give you that flexibility, you see. So therefore, as I said, it's important to know that impermanence doesn't mean just death and destruction. It means possibility to change, become better.
But
Okay?
Geshe-la,
Yeah.
I understand that the person asking here, there is the second part to this question about our small abilities that prevent us
No,
probably
small
from
ability.
strengthening.
No, the small ability, the concept of small ability is completely wrong. Because in Buddhism, we say we all have the Buddha nature. So that is a big potential, the ability to become Buddha. That means the highest state of happiness, highest state of achievement that is there. And it's not only in the Buddhist teaching. Einstein said that human brain has so much capacity to improve. And even, highly learned scientists like Einstein, he said he may not have used even 5% of the brain. So that means there is a space. So we need to make effort. That's what I have been saying all through, that we have to make effort. The capacity is there. So it is in kind almost like unexplored, hidden treasure. So we need to explore it, right? Ability is there, capacity is there. So in order to explore that richness within oneself, you need to do away many of the useless distractions, useless lazinesses and things like that. Pay more attention to this inner treasure. It's not easy, yes, it is true, but doesn't mean that there is no capacity. You know, in the Lamrim, you use this word, 3 individuals with 3 capacities, you see. So even in the case of small individual, they have their capacity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Dinara. Dinara, you can ask your question.
Thank you very much, Geshe. My question is, sometimes happens if you harness with someone, he feel hard and bad after it. What to do in this situation? If you sometimes
When you do good things for others, don't expect result. So that's why in the Bodhisattva text, this mind training text, they say, as much as possible, try to act like the 4 elements: the earth, the wind, the fire, the water. We all use water. Water did not expect anything from us. We all use heat, right? The fire element, the fire do not expect anything from us. Again, of course, it's not easy. As human beings, we expect something, but the more expectations you have, the more you will get that sense of dissatisfaction if other people don't react, you see. It's natural. We are ordinary people, right? So therefore, help others. For example, I'm glad you asked this question. You are feeding yourself all the time, right? You give breakfast to yourself, lunch to yourself, dinner to yourself. Then every time you take breakfast, do you say thank you after the breakfast, thank you after the lunch, thank you after the dinner? You don't say. Because giving yourself breakfast, lunch, dinner is something that must be done. You do it, finish. You don't expect thank you. So similarly, when you do good things for other people, it's important. This must be done. It's for your own goodness. You do it, finish. It's not easy, of course, but there's the way. Okay.
So Gishla, that was the last question for the day.
Okay.
So thank you once again. We are really, truly very blessed to have you here, Gishla.
Thank
And we look
you.
forward to having you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you.